On a frozen February night, 5 young men abandoned their car and walked into the woods. Months later, only 4 bodies were found. Their final hours remain one of America's most haunting mysteries. A case so strange, investigators called it America's Dyatlov Pass incident. In June 1978, a group of motorcyclists rode through Plumas National Forest when a sickening sweet smell drifted through the trees. They stopped near an abandoned forestry service trailer. A window was shattered. Inside, beneath 8 heavy blankets, lay the body of a young man. The man was identified as 32-year-old Theodore Ted Weir, one of 5 friends who had vanished months earlier. They would become known as the Yuba County Five. But Ted was only the beginning. The man was identified as 32-year-old Theodore Ted Weir, one of 5 friends who had vanished months earlier. They would become known as the Yuba County Five. But Ted was only the beginning. On February 24th, 1978, they drove from Yuba City to Chico to watch a college basketball game. Witnesses saw them laughing, cheering, and buying snacks afterward. Nothing seemed unusual. Then, they vanished. 4 days later, police found their Mercury Montego, 70 miles off course, high in the snow-covered mountains. The car wasn't stuck, it wasn't damaged. There was fuel in the tank, but the keys were gone. Why would 5 lightly dressed young men abandon a perfectly running car on a freezing night and walk deeper into the forest? No one had an answer. The road they were found on did not lead home. It led into colder, darker terrain, miles of wilderness. Yet all evidence suggests they walked straight into it. Months later, Ted Weir's body revealed something shocking. He had been alive for weeks. His beard had grown half an inch. He had lost over 80 pounds. Yet he never left the bed. Inside the trailer were shelves of untouched canned food, boxes of matches, books and magazines that could start a fire, and a working propane tank outside. But none of it had been used. Ted died slowly, surrounded by everything needed to survive. Soon after, 3 more bodies were found. Jack Madruga, 11 miles from the trailer. Bill Sterling, scattered bones across the forest floor. Jack Hewitt, found by his own father. All had died from exposure, alone in the cold. One member, however, was never found. Gary Mathias. Inside the trailer, searchers found Ted's shoes, but none belonging to Gary, as if he had taken Ted's footwear and walked back into the woods, never to return. Police suggested a simple explanation. The boys got lost. They abandoned the car, walked for 20 miles, reached the trailer, but didn't know how to use its supplies, and eventually froze to death. But nothing about this theory makes sense. These young men feared the cold. They feared getting lost, and 2 of them, Matthias and Madruga, had military training. They knew how to survive. So why ignore the food? Why ignore the heater? Why split up? None of it adds up. A man named Joseph Jones claimed he saw several men and a woman holding a baby walking the same snowy road that night. When he called out for help, they ran into the darkness. Was this connected? No one knows. Some believe the boys saw a confrontation at the basketball game and were chased into the mountains. Others think Matthias suffered a sudden mental break. Some whisper about foul play, but no evidence has ever confirmed any theory. Much like the Dyatlov Pass tragedy in Russia, this case begins with people leaving safety and ends with bodies scattered across the wilderness. 5 young men entered the mountains. 4 died in the cold, and one vanished without a trace. To this day, the forest keeps its silence, and the mystery of the Yuba County Five remains unsolved.